Okay, so we're live. I just got to put a boot on because I've got a bit of ice in it. But back with you in 20 seconds. Okay, so we're live. I just got to put a boot on because I've got a bit of ice in it. There we go. But back with you in 20 seconds. And there's some interference on the line, so we'll just pause this. And now we're back. All the technologies has been having a bit of a paddy today. It's been a bit colder and fresher out, so everything's fully charged here. So hopefully we'll have a great YouTube live session. Just to say, welcome to Axel Camden Arctic Live here from the UK Arctic Research Station. My name's Jamie, and we've actually had a really glorious day today. So this morning, during breakfast, we had the sun come above the horizon for the first time over here this year. So that's since October last year. So seeing the sun has been fantastic, and those people in Nolsund who'd been wintering here did a little jig over there, sort of around their coffee this morning. And just during the whole day, we've actually had some really spectacular light across the fjord. I can really start to see the amazing landscape behind us. And also the wind is coming down off the glaciers at the end of the fjord, and that means that we're getting far more, and you probably won't be able to see the detail. I'll also put up some photographs later, but far more icebergs, bergy bits in the fjord, blowing all that ice from the east towards us. And really, I think it's great to have a couple of schools I can see on here already. We've got Croydon High School, and we have the Colegio Estudio in Madrid, which is fantastic. Normally the way that these sessions have gone, the rest of the team were, in fact, I've been doing them with Bianca, who's a paleoecologist from the British Antarctic Survey, so looking at past habitats, past ecosystems, using cores to study those. But she and the glaciology team are investigating a new ice cave up on the glacier just over here. So hopefully tomorrow morning I'll be able to go and get up there myself and start to be able to share that amazing place. The big problem we've had this year is we tried to explore the ice channels, the channels through the glacier that we were studying last year, but over the melt season, those got frozen up basically. So it's been a bit of a difficult start to the field work this year. Really bad weather for a few days, complete whiteouts, possible polar bears. I think it probably was a polar bear, and the glacial channel freezing up. So all in all, not the easiest start to the field work, but we're really starting to get somewhere at the moment. So I'm just checking in to see, hopefully we're still running and rolling, and to see whether there's anybody out there, any of those classes who'd love to pop a question up on the chat, the live chat section, and that enables me to interact with students from up here from the UK Arctic Research Station in Ny-Ålesund, Svalbard. I think you have to have your own YouTube account. So if you don't have a YouTube account, quickly set one up, and then that will mean that you can post any questions you like on that live chat next to the video. I hope I've got the right live chat. I think I do. So any questions coming up would be fantastic. Just for those of you who haven't been part of one of these sessions before, sorry, excuse it, I just got a runny nose in all this cold. It's about minus 12 at the moment. But the wind, it will just take all that nice heat away from your skin. So this is the UK Arctic Research Station. Here you can see maybe just inside the boat, the polar circle used during the summer. We've got storerooms along here, and then these are the bedrooms, these first windows, and then towards the other end, offices and laboratory space for the visiting scientists. Let's just see. I'm just going to have to take the glove off just to make sure we have everything working. There we go. So we've got all that set up. And then we've got this live chat section here. So I've got Croydon High School and Colegio Estudio. I'm probably not saying that very well, in Madrid. And let's see if we can get some questions up here, just to get some interaction. Thank you for talking to us. No, it's a pleasure. Croydon High School. Do any of you have any questions you'd like to put up? I know that this is a little bit of lag on this, but any questions you may have would be absolutely fantastic. Using touch screens in these temperatures is not great. I have yet to find the right pair of gloves that allows you to use a touch screen at these temperatures. None of them seem to work that well. Fantastic. So the reason why the research, sorry for the sniveliness, it's occupational hazard of working up here. So the reason why the team are here is to look at how a glacier changes over. Well, trouble hearing you because of the wind. Well, I'll try and bring this closer. So the reason why the team are here is to look at the change in a glacier over a melt season. But we've got some questions coming through. What sort of food do you eat in the Arctic? Well, we're very, very lucky. Because we have a great central sort of eating area, central building for all the different countries that have research stations up here. So the Norwegians, the Italians, Germans, French, Japanese, and we have really, really great food. I suppose the only difference really is that we have some more Arctic food, sort of like reindeer, and less crunchy green food, so not very many salads. So we had potato pancakes and chicken for lunch, and some cheese and other kinds of things. Lots of different studies being carried out by the different stations around here. For the UK station, it's a research team from Aberystwyth University, and they are looking at how the inside of a glacier changes over time, so over a summer of melt. To do that, they need to go down inside the glacier by abseiling and investigate those channels inside. So glaciers aren't solid; they are full of honeycombs and holes and all kind of thing. And then they're using a laser scanner to create a digital 3D reconstruction of the inside of a glacier, and then they can compare that between years. So they were here in March last year and here this year, and start to compare those digital models and to see how that changes. And just going down here is that are you studying the effects of global warming? All these environmental changes will happen faster because of increased temperature in this region, and it's really finding out sort of what is the impact of that, and looking at possible ways in which water running through the middle of a glacier in certain ways might accelerate melting. So it's just really trying to understand better the processes that take place up here. I think, when you're in Jolison, the most obvious sort of evidence of global warming is the lack of sea ice at the moment. So if I know that sometimes the wind makes it tougher to hear, but if you see that black stripe, that's open water. That's the Kongsfjord, the fjord that runs along the side of Ny-Ålesund. It's almost like a bay that comes in from the sea. Now, at this time of year, that would normally have been frozen solid, and you could drive a snowmobile across that, or you could, I think there's even some talk of driving tractors across there at this time of year. You'd have, I was speaking to Nick, who first came. Nick is the station manager of the UK Arctic Research Station, and he first came to Svalbard in 1978. And really was talking about having sea ice into sort of April, May, and sometimes even June, July. So I'm just going to move something on the screen. There's just sort of pop-ups that keep on coming, which necessitates taking off gloves and various other things. I'm sorry that you're having trouble hearing me. This is the best I can do at the moment. And that's probably because I was just doing something rather than explaining things. The wind is difficult. Yep. Just trying to get my glove on. In terms of the animals, we haven't really been looking at the animals so much, and so I wouldn't be able to comment on that. But there was an article, I think a week or so ago, that was looking at the reduction of sea ice and the impact that would have on different Arctic animals. What are some unusual things you've seen? I think, just looking at the fact that there isn't that much snow around. If we look, it's not that high. Last time when I was here, it was raining in March, which was pretty unusual. It was I think only about -1 or -2 a couple of nights ago. So the really unusual thing is the fact that it's not much colder, although it feels much colder, because there's a lack of sea ice. We really feel the humidity. So -10 and humid, because of the open ocean next to us, feels much colder than -10 and dry. -10 and dry is absolutely fine, but this wet air coming off the open fjord behind me really chills the face and the fingers. Do you think the Arctic will melt? It does. It does melt. It is melting. And I think there are two things to consider here. One of which is the annual melting and freezing due to the seasons, and the second one, to which I think you're referring, is the long-term trend of a decrease in sea ice coverage, and also the retreat of Arctic glaciers as they're melting increasingly and retreating further up from the coast. And that's happening at the moment. Now, there are various models, so scientists are looking at all the data and trying to predict when, for instance, there will be no sea ice in the Arctic Ocean in the summer. And there's some predictions that put that at 2036, some a little bit earlier, some later. So it's something that people are putting data into models and trying to see whether those will the dates that those will predict. When you first went to the Arctic, did you find it really difficult coping with the cold weather? My first night sleeping in a tent in the Arctic, the temperature was the coldest I've ever experienced before or since. It was -48 degrees centigrade Celsius, and that was very, very cold. And I think nothing really prepares you for the change. So if you are in Britain and you've experienced a cold and something, oh, that's really, that's just really horribly cold to the bones, and it's sort of a wet cold. In the high Arctic, normally it's quite a nice dry cold, but it feels far more like sort of a ferocious animal trying to sort of claw at you and sort of get into you. So it feels like you are trying to burn enough calories to stay warm. Your face often feels like it's being stabbed with needles and stinging quite a lot. And I think over time you get used to it, and your metabolism develops so that you can eat something like a chocolate bar, and it's like putting fuel in a car. It sort of makes you nice and warm and toasty. What does it sound like? The Arctic? What does the Arctic sound like? You've got squeaky snow. I'd like to know, okay, the animals. Well, the squeaky snow, I think, is the funnest bit. So I can't really walk around too much and give you squeaky snow. But the sort of wind and squeaky snow are the typical sounds of the Arctic. So we've seen a few more examples of life over the past day. So there are a couple of reindeer around. It probably was a polar bear that was seen on the glacier a couple of days ago. And we've seen a ptarmigan, which is a sort of a big grousey white grouse type animal bird. Some guillemots, fulmars, and gulls coming into the fjord. So more bird life coming back to the fjord at the moment. But we're not great on animals here. We're pretty limited. If the sea ice were here, we would have had amazing. Speaking earlier to someone who said, you'd have harp eels, giving birth out on the sea ice out here, and a whole more sort of active ecosystem. But without the sea ice, we're fairly limited to some lost reindeer and a polar bear that wandered past, we think. So I'm just going to wait for a couple more questions. I might even try and see if I can sort of crouch down out of the wind to make it slightly easier for people to hear. Let's see if I can get down here. Hopefully that will be a bit easier and a bit more sheltered. Is one of the occupational hazards of doing an outdoor YouTube live in the Arctic is that there is a little bit of wind around. Let's do this up. There we go. Keep a bit warmer. Now there are some animals that I would really love to see in the Arctic that I've never seen. I would love to see a narwhal. So a narwhal, if viewers are unfamiliar with that, from my point of view, is a cross between a dolphin and a unicorn, which makes it an incredibly awesome animal. So I'd love to see a narwhal, and which I've never seen, and also a muskox, which is, I think that's pretty awesome, which is a sort of small, shaggy Arctic cow. It probably wouldn't want to be known like that, and biologists would probably rip their hair out hearing me describe the muskox like that. But those are the animals I'd love to see. I think the most fascinating thing for me is seeing inside a glacier. Is one of those things that you study at school, and you have this sort of drawing of a glacier on the page of your geography book, and you shade things in and all that kind of stuff. But to actually abseil down into a glacier and explore the ice caves, and I can't wait to get to where the one of the melt stream comes out of the snout of the glacier, and apparently there's a section of frozen waterfall that we'll have to climb up tomorrow to access a little bit more. So the inside of the glacier, we'll try and get those photos up as soon as possible tomorrow when we get in there to record it properly. Hours of sun do you have these days? Sunlight, daylight. So apparently it's day at the moment, although it feels like twilight the whole time. So sun up, I think sunrise above the horizon is about 8 o'clock in the morning, and then setting at about 4:30. But the problem is we're surrounded by mountains here, and so when it rises above the mountains, we had I think 15-20 minutes of sunlight. So the sun from 8:22 for about 20 minutes, so 8:42 went along behind here, and we had a little bit of sunlight, and now it's gone behind the mountains. So we might get, if we're lucky and it's not cloudy tomorrow morning, at about 8:20, we might get another 20 minutes of sunlight. So about 20 minutes of sunlight a day, if you're lucky. Otherwise, it just feels like sort of twilight, evening, the whole time. So we have a celebration this weekend called Soul Fest, and Soul Fest is a celebration of seeing the sun for the first time. Very, very important in these northern communities where they may not have sort of felt the sun on their faces since October last year. So there's a sort of annual celebration for feeling the sun or seeing the sun for the first time in the new year, and that typically happens in Svalbard in the first week or so of March. And so we could see some of the indoor facilities. Certainly, it's fairly tricky. We're on a wired internet here, so I've got it coming out of the window, and if I disconnect, then the broadcast ends. But I can show you, certainly see how I can show you the storeroom, and also maybe we can do another broadcast this week from inside the station. So if we go and look inside the storeroom, and then we can maybe have a look tomorrow at some of the other parts of the station. So we'll come inside. It'll actually be quite nice to get out of the wind, and probably quite nice for you guys. So I was going to put the computer down because I just need to shut the door. And I'm just going to pull in the wire, which is running along the outside of the door. Here we are inside, and you can see we'll start to sort of have a look at some of the equipment that you need, or that we have here at the UK Arctic Research Station. Very important things. So here we have lots and lots of shovels. Moving snow is a very important thing to be able to do. So we've got moving snow equipment. In the summer, very important for getting around, bicycles, for getting to your glacier and back. Let's just go over this way. Sorry about the slight jiggery pokery getting you around, but just past all the old store boxes. I'm coming in here. So here you can, not going to pull the wires out. So here you can see a lot of the equipment needed to travel around the Arctic safely. So at the top you've got some pretty old snowshoes, some first aid kits here. What have we got here? Ice axes and slings, and some climbing equipment. And first aid kits. What have we got here? That looks like a canoe safety rope. Some what else we've got? We've got some crampons here for walking on ice on the glaciers, and thermos, very important, so you can have your cup of tea when you're out doing your field work. Turn around. Survival suits for going boating, and then some very nice warm boots for keeping your toes nice and warm, and these amazing big, these are skidoo mitts, and we've also got some skidoo suits here, so being nice and toasty when you're on the skidoo, the snowmobile going around, very, very important. And the ones I rather like of these mitts, here we go, pull these out. There you go. If you want to be very stylish in the Arctic, you need your faux leopard print skidoo gloves to have those with you, and you can warm your face up just a little bit, nice and furry there. So we'll come back this way. So we've been in the Arctic for a week and a half now, I think, and I was just trying to work out today actually how many weeks I'd spent in the polar regions in total, and I think it's coming up to 16, 17 weeks. So how many months is that? Divided by about 4 months in total spent in the polar regions, which is an amazing privilege. So let's come along here. Let's see what we've got here. Oh, just in case, just walking past here, Blue Barrels, the Expedition Blue Barrel sort of seems to be the universal let's ship stuff around the world and for expeditions. We've got this boat here used in the summer and also to support marine science. Okay. Now, okay, here's a in here, and I don't think the cable's quite going to stretch to it. Maybe it will. There's a freezer. Now, hopefully somebody, also sort of Digital Explorer Base Campus listening, but here's a competition. I will send the best answers a postcard from the most northerly post office in the world, which is just down here. Why would you have a freezer in an Arctic research station? So if I can get those answers to that, either as a comment on this video when it's finished, or via social media, which we'll put up, why would you have a freezer on an Arctic research station, which feels very odd. So that's as much as I can show you inside at the moment without sort of ripping out the internet cable. But I think we're sort of, probably coming up to time. So unless there are a couple more questions, it's going to be very shortly over and out from the Arctic. And thank you so much for being part of today's Arctic Live YouTube session. Amazing, you brilliant. Thank you so much to those two schools who've taken part. Croydon High School, brilliant, and Colegio Estudio in Madrid, Spain. Really, really lovely to have you on board. Thank you so much. and look forward to keeping in touch as the project progresses. Thank you so much. Bye bye.